Well, if you've been paying any attention at all, you know that official Washington has been hyperventilating for weeks because the Trump administration has not yet ended America's relationship with Saudi Arabia after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Well, the U.S. can't be allied with countries that assassinate people, they're telling us with a straight face. There must be some sinister reason that Trump is sucking up to the Saudis. Watch the tsunami of false outrage.
It is possible that the president himself, through Trump Enterprises, may have some financial dealings in Saudi Arabia.
Is that Saudi money paying for 500 rooms inside a Trump hotel? What do you make of that?
I can't think of a parallel in American history where a United States president or his family has profited from his office the way this administration appears to be.
He's using the White House to make money while being president and to try to enhance his opportunities to make more money after being president.
And I remind you, the president himself has told us why he is taking the Saudi side. It's all about the money.
Don Lemon, ladies and gentlemen. So Trump is, quote, taking the Saudi side for money. Now, for the record, as a factual matter, there is no evidence of that, but there is definitely strong precedent for it here in Washington. Half the country's elites have made a good living taking the Saudi side for money. They've been doing it openly for decades now. In fact, if it weren't for Arab petrodollars, Washington would have far fewer swimming pools and $80 entrees. Certainly, Bill and Hillary Clinton would be a lot poorer without the Saudis. The Clinton Foundation received as much as $25 million from the Saudi government. They took another $5 million from the royal family's PR operation. Now, why did the Saudis give the Clintons all that money? Because they cared deeply about AIDS in Africa and the childhood obesity crisis? If you believe that, get your resume ready. CNN has a reporting position open for you. But it wasn't just the Clintons who got rich from the Saudis. Their allies did too. The Podesta Group was co-founded by Tony Podesta and his brother John Podesta. You remember he served as Bill Clinton's chief of staff in the White House and then Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman. Well, immediately after the last election, the Podesta Group was hired by, yes, the Saudis to lobby the U.S. government. In 2017, the Podesta Group earned nearly $2 million from that contract alone. Meanwhile, the Democratic lobbying firm Glover Park Group did almost as well from the Saudis. They made $700 grand just last year and another $600,000 from the Saudis this year before bad publicity from the murder forced them to end that contract. But nobody, maybe in the world, tried to cash in like Democratic fundraiser Ari Emanuel. His talent agency, William Morris Endeavor, cut a deal to receive $400 million in investment from the Saudi government, from its sovereign wealth fund. This April, Ari Emanuel co-hosted a dinner in L.A. for the Crown Prince, the one who apparently ordered Khashoggi's murder. Jeff Bezos from Amazon was there, of course. So was Bob Iger from Disney. Here's how Vanity Fair described that evening. Quote, topics that were deemed off-limits included the prince's bombing campaign in Yemen, which has killed thousands of civilians, his abduction of Lebanon's prime minister in November, and the repression of independent media and journalists, one of whom was recently imprisoned for 5 years for insulting the royal court, end quote. So Ari Emanuel and his fellow Hollywood liberals wanted to make sure that nobody asked the Saudis these uncomfortable questions. The left cares deeply about human rights, but not when it gets in the way of business with the Saudis. We should pause here and note in the interest of fairness two things. First, it's not just Democrats who've taken truckloads of Saudi money. Republicans in Washington definitely have done so too. And second, the Saudis are not the only despots currently making America's ruling class richer. Hardly. Many of our leaders, again, on both sides, are being paid off by the Chinese government. That's a dictatorship far more bloodthirsty than the Saudis. The Chinese, remember, have kidnapped children and harvested the organs of executed political prisoners. They threw a Nobel Peace Prize winner behind bars until he died. As we speak, tonight, the Chinese are throwing hundreds of thousands of ethnic minorities into concentration camps. Earlier this year, China disappeared the head of Interpol. How much of that have you heard on MSNBC? Probably not much. Now, none of this is a defense of the Saudis or their behavior. In fact, twice in the last 2 years, this show has attacked the Saudi government for pushing the administration into pointless bombings in Syria. The rest of official Washington, especially the media, applauded those bombings. Now, amazingly, the very same people are pretending to be shocked that a primitive desert theocracy killed somebody. Please, spare us the sanctimony. It is nauseating. Well, up next.